Hello everyone. Are you interested in making muruku, especially one with all-purpose flour? It's a savory dish that is made often in India for any good occasion, especially during festivities. And muruku is one of the standard savories every household makes. It is different in north and south and east and west of India. What I'm making today is using all-purpose flour. The standard one uses rice flour or sometimes even besan or chickpea flour. But today we are going to use all-purpose flour and learn how to make it. So standard procedure is 4 cups to 1 cup of chutney dal or dalia or chickpea, roasted chickpeas. Usually it is 4:1, but today since I'm making it for a bulk purpose, I have a party coming up and it's Christmas time and I want to make a big quantity so I can share with all my friends. I'm going to make 8 cups of all-purpose flour with 2 cups of chutney dal or roasted chickpea flour. This is cumin seeds, 2 teaspoons of cumin, and I have 1 teaspoon of ommam, or they call it, what do you call it? In Hindi it's called ajwain. In Tamil it's called ommam. And we have sesame seeds, about 4 tablespoons of it. And I have 1 stick of butter. I will probably use only half of it, probably 2 to 3 tablespoons. I have asafoetida and salt. I think for each cup I would add, or for each 2 cups I would add 1 teaspoon. So total of 4 teaspoons. And this is the standard measuring cup that I'm going to use. And this is the muruku maker. And it has different holes. Today I'm going to use this one, which is not going to hurt your mouth while you eat it because this is already a crispy savory. And then I have a double boiler here where I'm going to steam the all-purpose flour first. It's a clean, I washed it, and it's a wet cloth right now. And I have a double boiler which has water at the bottom, and then you're going to steam for about 3 to 4 minutes till the flour is nice and warm, and then we're going to add the rest of the ingredients. So it is going to be a little lengthy, but the end product is super good, crunchy. You can have it with tea or just as a snack in the evening. So let's get started. So here's my 8 cups of all-purpose flour all measured up. So I'm going to steam it in a double boiler for 2 to 3 minutes, or even 4 because of the volume of the flour. And then while that's happening, I'm going to grind up my chickpeas and make it into fine powder and keep it aside. So this is how it looks. I've wrapped it up. The flour is in there. There's water at the bottom. We're going to turn on the stove and let the magic happen. And I do have a lid. We put the lid back on and let it steam for 2 to 3 minutes or even 4. While that is steaming, we're going to grind our It doesn't take too long. So this is how it looks, all ground up. In the meanwhile, I'm going to melt up the stick of butter. I may probably only use like 2 to 3 tablespoons of it. So I melt it in the microwave and let it come to room temperature, and then we'll use it. So here's the melted butter. I just zapped it for 30 seconds and it still has little solids, but this is fine. The heat in the bowl will kind of melt the rest. I took out half of the chickpea flour, just in case if we run low on water or high on water, we can adjust. And I'm going to mix in all my other ingredients. The cumin powder, the ommam, or what do you call it, ajwain. And then we have 4 tablespoons of sesame seeds. And then I'm going to add about 1/4 teaspoon of asafoetida, a little more. See, cooking doesn't need to be perfect, okay? You just have to go eyeball it sometime too. My flour is steaming. While my flour is steaming, I got my other gadgets ready. I have a vessel to deep fry. I have the oil ready to go, and I have a kind of a decanting place where I'm going to strain it all out. I have a tissue and I have my ladle, and then I have this big bowl to basically mix all my dry ingredients and make a dough with the Maida, the chickpea flour, and all the other ingredients. And this is where I have the end product going to stay. Okay, I'm going to take it out from here and place it here, stack it up so it'll cool down, and I can put it in an airtight container. So initially, once it's fried, you put it in this so all the oil will drain out, and then you transfer here. So this is basically a bowl to mix it all up. It should be wide enough so you can be comfortable mixing it all together. Again, while the steaming is done, I wanted to tell you about this muruku maker. It's a muruku press. Initially, there's a different one which is more a short cylinder, a cylindrical one, but this is what I have now. It's the latest one. It has a spring action, so less strain on your wrists, and it does come with multiple attachments. You just pick which you want. So I'm having all my ingredients all ready. This is the last spoon of salt. I added 4 totally. So everything is ready to go. Once my flour is steamed, we're going to add all this along with butter and make it into a smooth dough with water. The dough has to be very stiff, not loose, otherwise it's going to soak in a lot of your oil. So it's almost done steaming. I'm going to turn off stove and open the lid. Ooh. Now the job is to let it cool down a little bit and break it into pieces because it's going to be one big lump. I have my gloves on so that I don't mess up my nails. At the same time, it's hygienic. So my steamer's job is done, so we move this away, and I'm going to put that pan back on the stove and add oil and heat it up. This is how the flour looks once I opened it up. It's all lumpy dumpy. We're going to break it up, and if you want, you can put it through a sieve and swift it fine, but usually you don't really need that. It looks and feels like hot crumbly mess, but everything will be fine. Because of its lumpy dumpy nature, I landed up swifting it. I swifted it, and I'm gonna grind it back into powder.
Things for Christmas.
All these granules are gonna be ground and added back. So I've swifted the flour, the steamed flour, and next thing I have my oil going, and I'm going to add the other ingredients into it along with the butter and water as needed. And this is the crumbles that I had that I took out from the sieve. I will grind it and add it back to the rest. So let's get the dough started. So this is my next process, next step. Water, butter, the ingredients, all the other dry ingredients that I had added to the chutney dal, and then the steamed flour. It actually cooled down while I was swifting, so it made my job easier. So add it all. So I invent the melted butter, and I will add the water and make a stiff dough. This is how it looks once it's kneaded, and you can see it's pretty stiff, so it doesn't soak up much oil. Okay. Oh, I had to use some elbow grease. Not easy. So once this is all set, we're going to put it in a murukus shooter and make murukus. Oh, I just realized my gloves has holes in them. Time to change them. So we make the doughs into we make the dough into a cylinder shape and put it into this and get started making the murukus, actually frying them up. My murukus shooter is loaded up, and we're gonna put the lid on and fry it. Sometimes you can use the murukus shooter to make these shapes on a wax paper or a plastic sheet greased with oil, and sometimes you can just directly do it in the oil. It's your preference. Make sure the oil is just the right temperature. Add a piece of dough and the dough should come up right away. This means it hasn't heated up to the right temperature yet. So give it a few more minutes. I'm going to test it one more time. See how quickly it came up? So the temperature is right. So let's start making our murukus. So the first one I'm going to do is what I rolled out already. Be gentle and careful. It's hot and piping, so safety is first priority. So drop everything one by one and wait for it to dry up. All the bubbles should stop, and halfway through you're going to flip it once. Make sure both sides are done well. Initially don't disturb it, let it do its thing, and then when you're confident that it's all set, then we're going to go flipping it. Don't overcrowd the pan, and you can make these smaller, and you can use a different mold which is little sharpy spines. It hurts the mouth though. You could use that and call it chickpea. And this is a smooth one. Let's see, it doesn't change color much. It would be pale comparatively. So flip them. As I said, it doesn't change color much. So just flip them once. Let it do its thing on the other side. And wait for the bubbles to settle. And make sure you watch the temperature. It shouldn't burn up too bad. You see how the bubbles are slowly settling? And the muruku is almost done. And we will take it off the oil and drain it in the paper towels. And wait for it to cool down so it just is super crunchy. Make sure you keep your dough wrapped in a wet cloth so it doesn't dry out while you're making your murukus. So you load up again and start your muruku shooter all over again. So our murukus are done, and you need to let it cool down, and it's pretty crunchy and yummy. So definitely try it. It's worth it. It's a great snack by itself. Have it with some tea and share it with your friends and family, and let me know how it turns out. I'm going to put all the ingredients and the measurements in the description box. So let me know how it turns. Bye.